come si realizza uno yacht di successo?
How is a successful yacht made? The secret, I do not know, but those of Azimut are probably well informed on the subject. For example, consider the 20-metre range. Well, Azimut has built about 300 units of Azimut models 62 and 64. And what will be the fate of this new unit, the Azimut 66? I think all manufacturers, the designers, the engineers carefully observe the competitors and draw inspiration using existing models as reference. But Azimut is the reference in the market, and so it cannot look to others. It must look forward to propose the innovation, the style. It has the task of creating the trend and so cannot go wrong. In short, it's not easy to be a leader. The 66 is wonderful, it's new, it's contemporary, but not overly modern, avoids those excesses that would define the age. For this, it is interesting. He who spends €1,750,000 certainly doesn't want to be told that his yacht is old after just a few seasons. There are all the ingredients that we want to find on Azimut yachts. Slender line to attenuate the height, large windows and mirrors, flying bridge with hard top for maximum comfort. But that's just what you see, and how we know what matters is more, for example, the materials and methods of construction. A big yacht like Azimut also stands out for these aspects. Azimut 66 is approved CE Class A to navigate theoretically without limit and, in addition, meets the most stringent requirements on the safety equipment on board required by NMMA, the organisation of US manufacturers. More than 90% of fiberglass parts are laminated in infusion, and 100% of the external surfaces are made with vinyl ester resin for maximum protection from the elements. The radar arch, the hardtop, the forward part of the bridge, they are of carbon fibre to lighten the highest structures for the purpose of greater stability. The flying bridge has three important areas. Next to the helm, a dinette that converts to a sunbed. In the middle of the deck, there is the real dining area with a table for 8 people. The part most aft is customisable, with sofas and sun chairs or as living area overlooking the sea. Maybe it's the place where I'd stay the longest. The lounge area offers the possibility of a second piece of furniture equipped with a double barbecue and ceramic hob for outdoors. The open hardtop lets in the sunlight. Closed, it shades and allows you to enjoy the fly until the late of night. The foredeck is slender. It is sporty but also very comfortable. In addition to the sunbathing area, there is the sofa. And then look at the manoeuvring area at the bow. It is trapezoidal, very wide, comfortable for manoeuvring. It is one of the distinctive details of Azimut, the design of which is looked after, as always, by Stefano Riini. The windows of the deckhouse are treated with a mirror effect and have a curvature which offers continuity to its shape. The aft hydraulic platform offers the possibility to install a dinghy of up to 325 centimetres long. The interior design was taken care of once again by Carlo Gallese. The salon is furnished with opposing sofas, where you can admire the landscape through the side windows. The television, which is retractable, has a 55-inch screen. The oak is heat-treated, but it is wonderful, especially the frise grain sycamore, among the most precious of the maple woods, mirror-coated, according refined Italian wood joining techniques. Alternatively, you can choose decape oak furniture, which inserts in ebony gloss. The crystalware is placed into an illuminated glass cabinet. The kitchen is built in a limited space, but nothing is missing and it is organised in the best way. Very elegant, the marble countertop. On the lower deck of the Azimut 66 there are 4 cabins. The master suite is full beam. The bed is inserted into a kind of frame above which there is the window. The bathroom is more urban style than marine, but this is the fashion. In the VIP we can see that the artificial lighting, thanks to the low consumption of the LED, has now taken on a greater importance, with numerous luminaries. In any case, the natural light and panoramic views of the windows remain the main element of judgment of the cabins, together of course with the comfort of the beds. They have memory foam mattresses made with plant fibres. For the wardrobe there are 2 closets, hanging over the sides and storage under the bed. We have 2 double cabins, respectively, with twin and bunk beds, both with large diameter portholes. In total, there are 3 bathrooms. The crew has a twin cabin, accessible from the bridge. Azimut 66 is fitted exclusively with Caterpillar C18 1150 horsepower engines. Propulsion, of course, is shaft-driven. There is an instability in the air today. The season is changing. The summer ends and the fall begins, and the wind, combined with a long wave from the southwest, will create some problems. To the sea, but not to the Azimut 66. At least I think is an impressive boat with more than 20 metres length and a displacement of more than 40 tonnes. Right now we are at half load, and in this condition we will measure the performance. With engines at 1,200 revs a minute and at a speed of 12.5 knots, the hull is already planing. I've got the flaps lowered slightly. But you do not need to correct the trim because the hull has a good racing line, even at these speeds. Here on the upper bridge, as well as in the lower steering position, there are 2 Raymarine instruments hooked to all on-board electronic devices, so you can check from all driving positions throughout the boat, even the air conditioning. The lines of this hull are the same as that were used on the 62 and 64 and have been thoroughly tested and then were further improved in order to pursue the continuous process of evolution that is typical of Azimut. Here the sea is really broken. The waves do not have any clear direction. They don't know which way to go. We instead do know where to go, in this direction. Right now we are sailing at 15 knots, and what I notice is that the more the speed increases, the more the hull finds its course and its stability, both from rolling and pitching. The credit goes to the keel, which at midships has an angle of 20 degrees, and at the stern the D drive is still high, 17 degrees. At this pace, consumption is about 10 litres per mile. That is to say, you go 0.1 miles with a litre. The fact is that speeding up, now that I'm brought to 20 knots, and consumption per mile has not changed. One of the innovations introduced by Azimut on this model is the electronic steering, unique on a boat of this size. In practice, the commander, also the owner, because this is a boat, not a ship, can change the force to be exerted on the rudder. expand the number of revolutions to pass from one angle to another. That is, he can make it more reactive or slightly more docile.
A me piace così.
I like it like this, very soft on the wheel, very reactive to changes of direction.
Voglio accendere il fonometro perché la
I want to turn on the sound meter because the silence here from the fly is remarkable. I hear only the wind and the wake, but do not perceive the noise of the engines.
Così leggo
So I read 74, 75 dBA, but if I put it here, sheltered from the wind, the level falls below 70 dBA. Really very quiet.
L'aver realizzato le sovrastrutture in fibra di carbonio.
Constructing the superstructure from carbon fibre has made the hull more stable, but also the fact that the forward vertex is also carbon is very important because the weight down there, away from the hull's centre of gravity, has significant influence on pitching. Look, the waves here are more than a metre high and pitching is minimal.
Mi piace dare gas, mi piace sentire.
I like to give gas. I like to feel that this huge hull manages to fly over the water and to maintain stability, both in direction and from rolling. It's remarkable. Oh, more than 34 knots, well beyond the speed declared by the yard.
Sapete cosa vi dico?
You know what I say to you? On a day like this, with a storm threat in the sky, with rough seas, surfing on the Azimut 66 is still fantastic.